Hello again and welcome to a new video. I'm doing a brake upgrade. Originally I was just gonna do a refresh where I would take the old rusty brake discs and put them in evaporust and then hope that they turned out good, and then change out the brake pads and the brake lines and then be done. But the brake calipers and brake lines were so seized and rusted that I managed to ruin the first lines inside the caliper. So I eventually decided to doing the full upgrade, which I have been planning to do later. Here I have everything that goes into the upgrade. It's new 350mm discs instead of 330. New used calipers, and new brake line, new longer bolts and an adapter to fit the 350mm disc, braided brake lines for a little better precision, protection, and also bigger ducts so I get more cooling on the discs. This upgrade, or this idea about the upgrade, started after my last track day, because then I could feel that the brakes couldn't really handle all the heat and everything. So the main problem then was the brake pads. But since it's a cheap upgrade to do the 350mm discs and also braided brake lines and everything, then I think this setup is going to be a lot better for the amount of horsepower the car has. So let's do the last side and take you through the whole process. On the other side, all the lines were seized, so I'm just gonna start with removing the brake sensors. They're just pressed into the caliper with clips. Here's the ABS sensor and the brake wear sensors. So I'm just gonna unplug these, because I need to replace the lines, the brake lines. Normally I would just take out this, slide it out, and then take off the brake pads, but the other side was so seized that I'm afraid to damage the threads on the knuckle here holding the caliper. So I'm just gonna tap it kind of semi-gently to see if it moves, and it doesn't, then I'll just remove the whole caliper with the brake pads in. Then I'm gonna remove this bracket holding the ABS sensor and the brake lines. They're held in by two 10mm, or one bolt and one nut. Okay, got the one bolt. Then I need to force this ABS wire out. That just squeezed into this, and get the last bolt out. ABS wire, just tucked it up out of the way, and I also unhooked the brake pad warning. So now the only thing left is the bracket and the brake lines. Now I don't think I'll be able to show you, but there's a connection with the brake line here and also one here that I'm gonna try to open. If this one doesn't go, which it didn't do on the other side, then that's okay. I can just cut it, because I will get new brake lines, or new brake lines and a new brake hose either way, but this one I cannot damage. So I've sprayed penetrant on it probably 5 times, both yesterday and today, so hopefully that will be enough to loosen it safely. This one is an 11mm, so I have had a bigger luck with opening those without ruining it, but the 10mm ones have pretty much all been seized. So I bought this special flange nut key, I think it's called, that holds pretty much all around the nuts, so they won't get as easily damaged. Then we loosen the brake caliper with an 10mm Umbraco. a brake disc, use one of these. So, long story short, the one bolt that did not failed. This is the brake line that goes into the car, and I rounded the nuts. So then you have to change the whole brake line. Luckily, it was a pretty short brake line, so I ordered it at the local Porsche center first, because I thought that would be the fastest and easiest. But then, of course, 1.5 weeks later, I got a message they still hadn't gotten it, and it was stuck in Germany or something. So then I ordered this part, original part from Rose Passion in France. Got it in 2 days. And now I have spent a lot of time trying to cut this with a grinder, but it's a really short gap. At first I tried to cut the bolt. I got about halfway before I stopped. I didn't want to damage the bracket here. Then I thought, okay, I'll just cut the line so I can try and get a pipe on it, or a socket. So I cut the line, but of course it's an 11mm and all my sockets are 10 or 12, so that didn't work. But then I was like, wait a second, what is it that actually holds this thing? And at this point it's just a small metal bracket. So I've actually just managed to bend, oh, there goes the last one. Bend that so it breaks. And now, ta-ta! This rest of the line here is actually loose. So this bolt was rounded and it's broken. And same here. Ugh, what a complete mess. And this is the bracket that goes in the car. I've already put this bracket in evaporust, so now it almost looks new. Same with the bolts. So now I'm ready to put, or first I need to change this brake line, which I'll do tomorrow, and then I'm gonna put everything back together. So I start with removing the headlight. Let's see if I can manage to get it out without removing anything else. Hoping it would be impossible to reach the brake line just by taking out the headlight, but this headlight bracket is also in the way, so I need to remove that. Okay, managed to get the plate out of the way, and now you can kind of see the bolt in here. I've loosened it with this flange key, and now that's loose. I can use this one because I can't really attach it that many places on that. It's very tight in there, so. The bolt is out. Now I'm just gonna try and get the whole line out. It's just squeezed in place in these brackets and it's all loose here, so hopefully I'll just be able to pull it out this way. The old one is hooked around the other ones there, so I'll just cut it. Got the old one out once again by cutting. So now comes the most important or difficult part, to get in the new one without ruining anything. Bolt is in and everything is back in place with the brake lines. Clipped it in and ended up in the right place. That's always a good sign. Now just need to put back everything with the headlight, and it's over to the fun stuff. Then over to the cheapest and easiest upgrade. It's the brake ducts from the 997 Turbo and GT3, I believe. They're held in with clips on the back, so I'm just gonna remove the old ones first. The easiest way is to just squeeze these tabs together, then force it out with a small screwdriver. Here you can see the difference between the old and the new. The new one has a lot bigger scoop here, it sticks further out, and also a more shaped upper part. So you scoop more in at the bottom and then shape the air more into the brake disc at the top. So a pretty big difference. Then time to get on the new one. Luckily these are quite bendable, so you just kind of have to force them on. Perfectly in place. It's gonna get a lot more air on the brake discs. You're wondering if you hit the right spot. There's actually a small groove in the arm here, which a tab fits in. Then it's time to put on this bracket that holds the ABS sensor and brake wear pad sensor that I put in the evaporust, same with the bolt, so it looks pretty much brand new here. It's held with a 10mm nut and bolt. Both these are torqued to 5 Nm. Then I'll do the braided brake lines, and I'll just put this, I assume it's for protection, back on. It's time for the 350mm brake disc. You can see with the bolts there, it can only fit one way. Gonna add some copper grease on the surface here and the bolts holding the brake disc. I've always done it, and it seems to have less rust and problems while taking it off, but I don't know what Porsche recommends doing with stuff like this. Then it's finally time for the calipers with the new spacers or adapters to make it fit the new brake discs. So then you just have to be super careful with the threads so you don't ruin them, and everything should just slide into place. And then I just need to attach the brake hose on the brake line here. Then we attach the brake hose to the last brake line that's not attached here. The new brake hoses are 14mm and the brake line is 10. Then we torque the brake caliper to 85 Nm. Then everything is installed. 350mm discs, new braided brake hoses, 997 ducts, and also the new brake lines. It feels pretty awesome to have the brake power to match the horsepower. And then the only thing left is to bleed the brakes with the AT200 fluid, and then I am ready for both the road and the track. So you can see the procedure for changing or bleeding the brakes in another video I have linked. The icing of the cake, and to finish off the project in style, is to install some brand new brake pads. The brake pads I've chosen are the Pagid RSL, the 29 in the front and the 19s in the rear. I've already finished off the 3 other wheels, so now I just have the front left. So we start with unplugging the brake pad sensor, because, well, first of all, if you go on track, it's a pretty big chance that they'll melt, and also the Pagid ones do not have a place for the adapters. We replace it with this plug adapter that I made to block off the thing from the dirt and make it so you don't get a error light. Then we start removing the pin. I love how easy it is to change the pads on these cars. And tap gently out this pin. And we're ready to remove the old pads. And then you have to press in the pistons there to get any new ones. I'll just do that by forcing them in like this. Here we have the new brake pads. As you can see, there's no hole for the sensors here. Now we just have to get them installed here. Then just slide the pin back in. Push in this push pin again. Then we have some serious brake pads that won't overheat on my next track day, hopefully. And every single person that I've talked to that uses them on the roads in Norway too absolutely loves them. According to them, they make a little bit more noise, but everything else is great about them. I went for a short drive and I noticed that it felt like they were sticking a bit more than usual. So after a little while I stopped and felt that the rims or everything was really warm. So I drove back and noticed that there was so much heat that the rear calipers or the pads were actually starting to get black, and there were a lot more heat than I've ever experienced before while changing pads. So I went back, took them off and compared them to the kind of extra set of road pads that I have bought. And the Pagid ones are 1/2 centimeter thicker per pair than these ones. So when I put the EBC ones on, everything fitted perfectly and no problems. So since the EBC pads worked perfectly, I just ended up running them the entire summer. Both because I could wear the brake discs a little more and hopefully fit the Pagid ones at the later point, and EBC works perfectly on the road and I had no track days planned. But at the end of the summer there was a track day that I ended up going to, so I took off the EBC pads and I also removed these anti-vibration, anti-squeal things. These are on the front and these on the rear. And once I did that, the Pagid ones just slid right back in without any issues. I used the pads for a full trek day at Rudskogen, which is pretty demanding on the brakes. And they worked absolutely perfectly. It's pretty insane how much grip difference there is between the Pagid pads and the EBC. The EBC and everything I did, I couldn't really tell much of a difference when I changed it, but as soon as I put on the Pagid ones, just the stopping power is on another level. They're so good. There's a little more noise, probably because I took off the anti-vibration things also, but the EBC makes a little bit of noise once in a while, so I think it's totally worth it, and the braking power and everything is just superb. So I now have a setup that works amazingly both on the road and the track, and I am super happy about all the upgrades I did. I'm gonna continue running the Pagid pads all the time, and I can honestly say this is actually ended up being more impressive than I thought. So I can totally recommend this, and I'm super happy about how it ended up. Project completed. Hope you found this interesting and useful. Please like and subscribe. Write any comments if you have any questions. See you later.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.